Okay, now we will go into big picture grammar. Okay, so before this, we were talking about word hacking. So word hacking is more about, let me just write a short note here. When we say word hacking, basically we are talking about the relationship between letters. Letters plus letters plus letters plus letters. Sorry, letter plus letter plus letter, it becomes what? Word, right? So let's say kaf, just now we take katib, right? So kaf plus alif plus ta plus ba equals to a word. Okay, katib. That was what we are learning about. That is called, sometimes it's called sarf in Arabic. And when we go into grammar, it's about relationship between words. Let's say I want to say kataba is a word plus katib. So what's the meaning of kataba katib? And then plus kitaban. Kitaban. So right, this one is tense. What tense is this? Past, huh? Wrote. Katibun, writer. The alif is er. Kitaban, kitab, book lah. Social meaning is book, but formal meaning is writing. Okay, so kataba, katibun, kitaban. Okay, I did mention, I think I did mention, if there's a tanween, okay, what's the difference when there's a tanween and there's an al? Al means the, right? And tanween means a. Okay, so tanween means a. So what's the meaning? A writer wrote a book. A writer wrote a book. Kataba, katibun, kitaban. Okay. So from word hacking, knowing the dynamics of the word, the structure of every word. Okay. After that, we go to when a word plus a word plus a word. You know how does it? How do all the words behave? How do all the words behave? That is grammar. Okay, that is grammar. In grammar, we will say something like kataba is the verb, okay, past tense verb, and katibun is the when you have an action, you have an actor. Okay, and sometimes when you have an actor, that actor does something, and that is the action. Okay, so you have an act, let's call this an act, and then an actor, an action. Okay, this is not the usual terms that we use in grammar. I will convert them later on. Okay, so in Arabic we call this fi'il. Okay, and we call this fa'il, and we call this maf'ul. Fi'il, action, fa'il, actor, maf'ul is the action, so called. Okay. Later on you will have the grammatical terms for it. Okay, this is just to explain to you what's the difference between sarf and what they call this as nahwu. Okay, so in traditional Arabic language learning, when you learn grammar, you have to do this. You have to say that kataba is a verb. And what is the case? And what is the indication? And what is the function? Okay? So, in Arabic, you will eventually analyze this kataba to say that kataba is a fi'l madi, and the case is mabniyun ala al-fathi, the case is bas baris atas, and then you will go here, katibun. I'm just giving examples to show you how traditional learning is. So katibun, you will say that this is a fa'il, and the case is a marfu'. Marfu', I will okay, the case is marfu'. I also don't know what to say, what marfu' means for now. Okay, then wa alamatu raf'ihi, and the indication is dhammatun zahiratun fi akhirih, a clear dhamma at its end. Okay, that's how you analyze it grammatically. Third, kitaban, you will say it's maf'ul mansub, the case is mansub, wa alamatu nasbihi, and the indications of its kemansuban adalah is fathah zahiratun fi akhirih, a clear fathah at the end, a clear fathah. That is i'rab. They call it i'rab, which to me should be postponed until you really understand the sentence structure. What is a sentence made of? Okay, so let's go to big picture grammar. Big picture grammar is talking about one thing. It's talking about sentence. What makes a sentence a sentence? Okay, so when you do all those i'rab, you say this is al-madi, fa'il, maf'ul, mansub, whatever. What you are trying to get to is just this. You are trying to get to the core of the sentence. You're trying to get to the core of a sentence. Okay? Whether you are conscious of it or not, you are trying to get to the core of a sentence. And the core of a sentence is divided into two. Okay? There are two core of a sentence. So, okay, we'll just take this. We'll just take this as an example. Okay, this sentence, a writer wrote a book. A writer wrote a book. So I will just write down here, kataba katibun kitaban. Okay, dia tulis buku kat mana? Contoh, kasih contoh. Okay, fil maktabi, ataupun semua tak payah alif lam lah. So fi maktabin. Okay, so I will say al-an. What's the meaning of al-an? Now, semua dah ada basic Arabic actually. So the last 12 weeks you all macam boring macam dah ada basic belajar basic aja. Okay, now what's the point? What's the core of this sentence? What does this sentence want? What's the topic of this sentence? The sentence is talking about what? About the writer, right? So this is the topic. So katibun, which one is the writer? Katibun. Okay, so the sentence is talking about that. What does the writer, okay, so dia macam headline, it's like a headline on an article, and then the next like sub headline, there's a sub headline, right? So what is the sub headline for this sentence? So wrote, right? Wrote the book, right? So this is kataba. So when we say now the writer has written, kelakar now lepas tu past tense. Now the writer has written a book, sorry, it should be a writer has written a book in an office. Okay, so you identified the core, the topic of the sentence as the writer. It wants to talk about the writer. So what about the writer? The writer has written something. See that? This is number 1 and this is number 2. That's it. When you do i'rab or you do anything else, to me what do you want to do is to find the core, the topic, because Arabic is a complex punya language, not difficult but complex. Sebab the layered, you want to know the core. So when you read a verse and you get lost, you need to find the topic and the story. The topic and the story. If you could call it the story, okay, you want to find the topic and the story. So for example, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Okay, just by saying that, do you know what's the topic and the story? Can you identify that? ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ, the topic. Story-nya apa? La raiba fi, maybe. What else can it be? Hudan lil muttaqin. Okay, so if you see how grammarians analyze that. Some will say la raiba fi is the story. Some others will say no, it's not the story. The story is the hudan lil muttaqin. Does it make a difference? It does make a difference. It does make a difference in the meaning. You get to see the real story, the real scoop, the full scoop of the story. Okay, that is grammar. Whatever else that is before and after is the what I call a pre-core and a post-core of the sentence. So it's as measured as that. What is the pre-core? Now, right? Al-an. Al-an. Okay. This is an important information in the sentence, but it's not the core. It does not want to talk about that. Okay. And what is the post-core? Fi maktabin. Okay. Fi maktabin, in an office. So this is the actual structure of a sentence. You will find a pre-core, post-core, and a core, which will be for here it is the verb and the act and the actor. This is the verb and the actor. So the verb always come in the second core. The actor always come in the first core. Alright. That is when the sentence is verbal. This is a verbal sentence. We have a non-verbal sentence which we call a nominal sentence, which begins with a noun or pronoun. Okay, that one we will go into perhaps next week. So any sentence will be like this. Okay, if I were to flip the sentence and I were to say fi maktabin kataba katibun. So what does that mean? So this one becomes the pre-core, or is it the same? It's the same. Same. See, the post-core will always have a preposition here. See, preposition is one of the characteristic of post-core. When the post-core is pushed to the front, it wants to emphasize. The speaker wants to emphasize the post-core. It wants to say, it doesn't just want to say that the writer is writing. It wants to say first to you that in the office he's writing. Now it's saying that now the writer is writing in an office. But if you move it in front, it becomes in the office the writer is writing. It's like that. Okay, when you move in front. Okay, so I'll give you another one. Okay, if I were to give you, okay, hack this first. Okay, you see, when you learn grammar, you would already have to be able to already hack in terms of word hacking. If not, it would be fruitless. Walahum azabun azim. Walahum azabun azim. Azimun. Okay. Where do you put walahum? Post-core, right? So you put post-core. The sentence is talking about what? Azab. Topic. The story is Azim. Okay. So, okay, let's just put here. Okay. Azab is a what? Is a no? Azabun. Tanwin. Azab dalam bahasa Melayu verb lah. And noun also. Okay. That's why I say you have to hack first. Apa maknanya? What's the meaning? And for them, a great torment or punishment. Okay, and for them, a great torment or punishment. Can the verse be azabun azim lahum? Is that the correct structure? Azabun azim lahum. Azabun azim lahum. Sebab, because the preposition has to be at the back. Right? So now, why did the verse make lahum a precedent over azab? To emphasize. For them lah, a great punishment. Instead of a great punishment for them. You know? So what? Okay, a great punishment. But this is emphasis. Damn. Great punishment. So when you know the correct arrangement of sentences, and then you know the core, and you see that the post-core goes in front, that means it's emphasis. No, takhsis. Takhsis. Yeah, emphasis is taukid. So this is takhsis. Takhsis is mengkhususkan. Okay, so azab yang pedih ni memang untuk dorang sebenarnya, khusus untuk mereka, especially for them. Okay, so the point of all this is for you to know the three parts of a sentence and what's the core. The core is the topic and the story, and then the post-core, one of them should have a preposition and the object of preposition, and the pre-core will have a list of them. You will get the list of it. What comes before the core, what comes after the core, and what comes within the core. That is Arabic grammar. Any questions? That doesn't mean it's easy. That doesn't mean it's easy. In theory, it's like this. Tapi because in the Quran, dia punya terbalik-terbalik tu banyak. So in the Quran, they you know, it goes in reverse, and then there is a sentence within a sentence. So macam umpama mimpi dalam mimpi jugalah. When you want to hack the Quran grammatically. Okay, but when you have a handle of what is the real arrangement, you will get the meaning. Okay. The other type, yeah, it's called nominal sentence. It begins with a noun. This one begins with a verb. Kataba katibun fi maktab. Okay. Since you asked, I will give a verbal sentence. Okay. I will say like Naam, ana katibun ana katibun min Singapore. What's the meaning? Yes, I am a writer from Singapore. What's the topic of this? It is talking about who, what. Okay, the easiest way is to identify the post-core. Where's the post-core? Min Singapore. This one is the post-core. What's the pre-core? Naam is the pre-core. How many words are you left with? Ana katib. What's the topic here? Yeah. Action. Alright. Gitu. So, ana katib. The topic is about me, and I want to say that I am a writer. Okay. In this case, this would be the pronoun, and this would be the noun. Okay. What's the difference? The difference between the verbal sentence is it begins with a verb. The nominal sentence begins with a pronoun. Why is this not called a nounal sentence? It is called a nominal sentence because sometimes it begins with a noun. Contohnya, Ashiq Katib. Ashiq is a noun. But it can also begin with a pronoun. And that is why it's called a nominal sentence. Okay. I don't know whether nounal is a word or not. So, yeah. Okay. But we are not focusing on this now. we are focusing on verbal sentences because it's the easiest and simplest. Okay, one last example. No need. That example is for verbal sentence. The next exercise. So I'm done. Any other questions before we go to the next, the first topic of grammar, which is the verbal sentence? Tak ada, macam maknanya dah faham. Okay. So next one we go to verbal sentence. Before this, in word hacking, remember what we hacked? Verbal what? Phrase. Verbal phrase. Okay, after this I will explain to you what's the difference between verbal phrase and verbal sentence.